All right. Good morning, everybody. We are running a couple minutes late this morning. My apologies. It's actually sorry to say, the first time I've been late since we started this for the last few months, but we're definitely having some fun technical problems with the camera. Welcome to another Living Freestyle live stream. We're here twice a week. We work this like office hours. We're doing a bunch of game dev stuff, working in Unreal, now Unreal 5. And I basically hang out. If you all have any questions, we try to stumble through those together. If not, I'm working on my own game, which we're just kind of doing mostly live while we work. I get to do this professionally, but there's a lot of cool stuff I don't get to do at work. So, a lot of these things like the ability trees and AI and everything we're working on, I'm learning a ton, and I wouldn't get a chance to do a bunch of that stuff at work because my primary focus at work is on front end characters and everything like that. So let's take a quick look and see what the current status of questions are. I think we're probably pretty good. Let's just take a look and make sure that we don't have any questions to start with. No, we are good. So what that means is we are going to hop straight back into Unreal. Let's make sure we're actually sharing our screen, which is cool. And let's kind of recap where we were or where we are. We were working on trying to get our enemies to fight each other. And a lot of cool stuff has been fixed since the last time, largely because there was just a bunch of things that needed to be fixed, and I'll kind of go over those before we get started. So let's just go ahead and change all of these to max enemies of 5, and then we'll set this up. Oh, you know what? We also need our tunes. Let's get some tunes going. Here we go. I'm also gonna have to do some more work to find some more royalty-free stuff we can use. All right. There we go. Okay, so let's simulate this out. Bring back our chat to make sure we're not missing out on anything in there. And we'll go ahead and choose simulate and just kind of take account of where we are. So this should spawn our enemies. Oh, actually, let me make a change real quick, because right now our enemies are 5 seconds apart, which is a little bit nuts. So our enemies per second, let's change this to 2, so we get a little bit of a faster spawn rate. All right, so some of the things that we have updated since the last time. We have, first off, our characters are actually moving properly now. That was actually, for the most part, something was going on with all their feet where they were walking around like stickmen. I'm going to show you where I fixed that. The other thing is, a lot of work has been done so that what I can do is with these spawners, I can choose which team an enemy spawns with if I want to. So right now the spawning on the right is blue and spawning on the left is red. And so this allows me to kind of set up these little test cases. Now right now they're not actually shooting or attacking each other. And the reason for that is because I can't get to each other. These green squares is, it's our nav mesh. And so all of these little green square circles that you see showing up are what basically that's looking for a place to go to if they can't get to their target. All right. Now, if they can't get to their target, though, they should at least be shooting fireballs. Well, I took the fireballs away from the enemies, and I took them away because they were, I was trying to debug a bunch of stuff. So we can add those back in real quick. Actually, let's not add the fireballs back in. Let's just add the weapons back in, and let's see if they start going at it. Okay. So also, let's get rid of that debug print that we were seeing so much of. There we go. All right, so now they should spawn with weapons. Okay, they got guns. That's good. All right, and now they're shooting each other. Cool. I don't know who it's like. Two, four. Who's this guy shooting? That's kind of weird. I don't know why this dude, enemy 1, is shooting the wall. That's kind of wild. But they're having a battle now, and this is kind of what we were trying to get to last time. So they have their weapons and they basically shoot each other. Now what's interesting is these 3 have rifles. I'm not sure why this dude doesn't have a rifle. Okay, well, there may be a chance. Maybe there's a chance that they get a weapon rather than 100%. Let's check that. Random integer. No, they should all get weapons. He just must not be choosing the weapon. Let's just double check this. All right. Enemy 2, team 1 is not using a weapon right now. Let's see if he switches to his weapon, because he should have a loadout. Enemy 2, team 1 is currently, oh, that's why. He's been shot a bunch of times. So it's hard to tell because of his health bar. Interesting. Okay, so when that's enemy 15 spawned just now, and when he spawned with a weapon. Okay, so that's basically, if they go into flight mode where they're running away, then they're not gonna re-equip. Now the interesting thing is, right now, enemy 15. Okay, he just updated. What is enemy 9 shooting at though? Oh, dude, one of the characters went flying off screen. Okay, we need, there's so much work to do. We need kill volumes, we need all this stuff. All right, let's stop. But this is cool. So this is all working now. And what we're going to, well, it's not all working out, but you get the general idea. So what we've done is, in our enemy spawner, some of the things we added is we added this team ID. And if we find all our references to it, what you can see is, we basically, when we spawn, we will set our team ID if if it's set, and the default value for team ID is -1. So if it's not set in the actual level, then what will happen is they'll stay as teamless, and then the AI logic will assign teams to them instead. Now another interesting thing is when this starts, the other thing I had to do is, originally one of the problems that I was having was it was looking at the number of enemies to spawn based on the total number of enemies rather than the number of enemies on that team. So there's a couple areas there we just had to check to see if we had the total number of enemies on this team exceeded our enemy count. And just for kicks, I believe if we change this, let's see, what was I thinking to test? If we change this guy to 0, so we're not going to spawn any enemies in this one, and we change this to 10, but we change our team ID back to the default. See if that actually works. So we got some blues. Now they're gonna come in squads, right? So this is sort of what we're expecting. They come in squads when the AI logic is handling it. And, wow, that spawn rate's crazy. Oh, look at that. It's doing... Okay, so there's definitely an issue here. What it's doing is it's... The spawner... The spawner just keeps going. And it never stops. Why is that? That's a really good question. And it's because the total enemies on this team ID... Alright, yeah, so that gets us in an infinite loop, so let's fix that real quick. Basically what's happening is, when we get our total enemies on this team, we don't want to do this check if our team ID is -1, right? So we want to make sure that this is greater than 0 when we do this, so that we don't infinite spawn enemies, because that'll bring it to its knees. So let's just do this. We'll say both of these are true. Okay. And then if we test that again, we should see. Oh, it doesn't do anything. You tricky punk. Okay, that's because if it's false, it does this. Alright, that's not what we want. Where are we setting? Total team. So we go through. Okay. If what we want to do is, if the team ID is less than 0, I think now let's keep greater than 0. I like greater than better. If it's greater than 0, we are going to do this like we were before. If not, we're going to execute this without the check. So that should get us back to default behavior, I believe. Okay, we're still in our infinite spawn. And that's because we're not setting our max enemies. So we need to do... This is just going to keep checking. Okay, so if this is true, and then when this is false, we need to set max enemies. I think we're not checking max enemies. Find references, get max enemies. It's checking there. So let's do this. If oh wow. Okay, so all right, so in this logic, here's what's happening. We're coming through and we're counting all of the enemies on this team, right? But we also need a running total of all the enemies. So let's make total enemies. And we'll make this an int. And let's do the same thing we're doing here. We're going to set this to 0 just to initialize it. And then when we're counting our enemies over here, we want to increment it. Let's increment this. All right. And we are going to increment the total enemies if this is true or this is false. All right, and then down here, we're going to do a total enemies is less than max enemies. It's getting crowded in here. And if that's true, then we keep going. Okay, let's double check that now. 1. All right, so we get 2, 4. Looks like there's 2, 4, 6 per team. There we go. We stopped. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So 10 enemies. That's our max. Now the interesting thing is, as they spawn, they're taking on the team ID of their lead. So unless the team leader gets killed, there's no chance for them to switch teams. And the reason I'm thinking about that out loud is because what I'm wondering is at what point the other team takes over. So they'll have to kill the lead. The new lead would have to spawn in on the team 1, for example. And then if that happened, then you would end up with a victory. Somebody would win. But so far, the red team lead is, he's dead. Let's see. Do we not have a new red team leader? Doesn't look like we do. Actually, we do. Team 0. Oh, but these dudes are on. Okay, so now we have 2 leads. The red team doesn't have a leader anymore. If the blue team kills all the red, I think everybody should spawn as blue. But right now, the red's holding their own. I feel like I'm shot calling. This is kind of weird. Keep spawning reds. Actually, no, that's never gonna happen because 2, 4, 6. Every single new person that spawns. Oh, the red now has a new leader. I don't know if anybody can win this. It's just like war games, man. Because of the way this works. When the red spawns in, what's happening is red is spawning in. It's looking for a squad to join. Can't join the blue squad because it's full. So it joins the red squad because it's not full and then automatically inherits the red team ID. But one of our teammates spawned in as a new blue, and as a result of the reds are taking over. This is wild. This is kind of fun to watch. Okay, let's not get too sidetracked. Our spawners now have the ability to work normal behavior, or I can specify the team, I can specify the number, etc., which allows me to set up cool red versus blue scenarios and things like that. And then, you know, the game is playing itself, which is cool. Let's see. Let's take a look at... Alright, so these are all of our items. They're spawning in with weapons. I wanted to get rid of the weapons. That's one thing. So we're going to get rid of the weapons. We're going to go back to our debug scenario. Where's our enemy? Here's our enemy. What I wanted to show you was this guy right here. I believe, oh no, it was this guy. So, all right. I was talking about the bug that I had where the enemies, their legs were not working properly. And it was kind of a bummer because it took me a while to chase it down. And I just wanted to kind of show you where that was happening. I believe if I skip this parent tick, we can recreate the error that we saw, where they were walking around like they were on stilts. Yeah, see how their legs are all jacked up? So as I was chasing this down, I sort of realized what was happening. I didn't even realize. I made a guess at what was happening, and what it was I was thinking there was something going on with the IK legs, because there's an IK retargeting thing to handle uneven ground in here. And as I was looking at it, I tried everything. As I was looking at it, I noticed that we had filled in a new tick function that literally this was just for debug. There was no, this is just a thing that does the cards above their head to help us for debugging. And so when we added this rather quickly, what we did is we didn't put in the call to the parent function. And so I wanted to flag that as a thing, because especially when I was first getting started in Blueprints, the idea of the overrides and the inheritance, I didn't totally understand. And it snuck up on me a couple times, and I finally kind of wrapped my head around it. I'm not entirely sure why it doesn't just do it by default, but what happens here is when I connect in the parent tick, now if you look at the parent character BP for this guy and you look at the tick function, this is where all of the stuff is happening for, setting air, ragdoll, on the ground, etc., where it's, calculating all that stuff. We were skipping all of that. And sometimes we want to do that on purpose, but if without this parent function, we're basically skipping all of that. And so once I reconnected that, then all of a sudden the enemy started walking properly. I thought it was nav mesh problems. I looked at everything. I was going bonkers, but it's just a simple call to the parent function and the tick. So they're back to looking better now. They don't have, they actually don't have their guns anymore. I wonder if they're gonna do melee attacks though. This will be interesting. I'm trying to see, maybe we just spawn 2. That'll probably be easier. Let's just spawn 2. So that's kind of a recap of everything where we are. And I think we're gonna go back into just kind of what I was troubleshooting. Oh, they're both on the same team. Okay, there's a way to fix that. We'll do team 0. We'll spawn 1. And then what we'll do is, I just want to see if they melee attack each other. We're basically in this mode where we're just troubleshooting a lot of this AI stuff. Let's go team 1 and team 1. And then start our sim. So we should get 1 on each team now. We got a red. Where's our blue? Oh, I know what the problem is. We're not getting our blue. The reason we're not getting our blue is because team ID is greater than or equal to 0. If that's true, we're going to do this guy. And if it's false, we'll do this dude. Okay? So now we should get both. Yep, red and blue. All right. So now these dudes should fight. Okay, so there's a couple things that are bugging me about what's happening here that I want to troubleshoot. So first off, I don't see them actually punching. The interesting thing is when we see the hot pink circle, if we look at the ability tree, not the ability tree, if we look at the attack position, that hot pink circle is showing up over here when the location that the character is in is already good for attacking. Okay, so we want to see that. The thing that I'm bummed about, or the thing that I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening, is this green circle. The green one should only show up if we come in here and we can't get a random point in the navigable radius based off the enemy's last location. But we shouldn't even be in here looking for this because we've already got a good spot. So we find that we're in a good attack position. Okay, oh, that's the other thing I did. I color coded my debug spheres. So red is where the red dude's going. Makes sense, right? Rocket surgery. And blue is where the blue dude's going. So now red is in a good place. And then all of a sudden, they both start looking at these green areas. But I don't understand. We need to troubleshoot why. So enemy 1 is blue. Let's take a look at enemy 1. Enemy 1. Okay. Already in a spot. See, he's coming through here. I want to know why he's coming through here. And he's coming through here because we're checking our location distance from the last enemy location. We're making sure that's greater than our ring index of 1. And okay, so this is where... Alright, we're going to escape out of this. Many streams ago, we were drawing debug spheres for basically our attack rings. And it made a lot of sense when we were working with just like a player character or something like that. I have no idea what the status of these rings is with multiple enemies on different teams. So let's just troubleshoot that a little bit. Let's draw some spheres. Nope. Draw debug sphere. Okay, so we're going to draw a couple debug spheres. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw 2 spheres. And they're each going to have radiuses. That is going to be... So the first one is our inner sphere. And the second one is our outer sphere. Alright, and the positions are going to be on the location to check for both of them. Okay, segments is fine. Our line color we're going to tie to our team ID again, which... Let's see where we can copy and steal that from. Here we go. Let's just copy this stuff, bring it over here. You know what? Maybe we should make this a function. Wouldn't that be nutty? Yeah, we should totally make this a function. Okay. And then our duration is going to be 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. So let's see here. And then let's take this. Plus 60, 10 times, all right, team ID times 10. Okay, plus 60. No, let's do plus 20. Okay, make this small one smaller. All right, so now what's going to happen is our characters are going to spawn and we're going to start to see where they think their attack rings are. Well, those are horrible. That's why. Okay, so what's supposed to be happening here is there's supposed to be 2 spheres that they're falling into. And for some reason, there's only 1. Okay, so the reason there's only 1 is it's almost like our radiuses are the same. Hold on a second. Our ring index. If our ring index is 0, how's that possible, y'all? If our ring index is 0, then we get a no-sized ring. Okay, well, let's print out a ring in it. Okay, we don't need this, actually. It's overkill. Local team ID, print string. What are we printing? Oh, we're already printing our ring index. Okay, that's cool. So let's check that again. So our ring index is 0. Interesting. So we're not getting any kind of acceptance radius here. This is part of the problem. It may not be the whole problem, but we should be seeing basically a donut where they're allowed to go to within the radius of the character. And I'm just going to change this real quick. I'm not sure what else is going to break, so let's just change it so that we're not subtracting off the 1. All right, so now we have our radius and we can see it proper. Okay, and this is going to be interesting because they're both moving. And we just kind of have to see if we can see what's happening. So blue. Hold on a second. Okay, they're moving around too much. We need to slow this way down. Let's go to our enemy AI and let's add in. Okay, so does our move 2, sets the focus. Then we do a wait. Let's change this wait to 3 seconds. Hopefully we'll get moments of pause now. Okay, good. 1. All right, so blue, look at where blue's moving to. Red is moving to... Oh, that's not the location to check. Interesting. The little red circles is where red goes. He's targeting the blue. Hold on a second. Red is doing what now? What are you doing, dude? Okay, so red goes to a spot. He's got an enemy. It looks like they're checking around themselves, not their targets. That seems weird, man. Let's check that. That's happening in the update current attack position. So the location to check. Where does this get set? All right, let's come up here and check this out. So we come in here. Team ID. Oh, that's just for the debugging stuff. These are our attack ring counts. Oh, initially we're checking our location to check is here. Okay. So our location to check is where we are. We do all of our attack ring stuff, la-di-da-di-da. Then when we get here, we're checking to see, oh, interesting. We're checking to see, okay, we're drawing our stuff on the wrong thing. We're drawing all that's happening is our debug spheres are wrong. Our actual check though is correct. All right, so let's try this again. So now let's see here. All right, so red should be, yeah, okay, so he goes in. Now this looks right. So red is checking an area around the blue, and he's checking to see if he's within this radius. What I don't understand is why he's moving. Okay, so red. I have an idea. I have an idea. Let's do this. Okay, I have an idea. Let's do this. Let's change our behavior tree. Okay, and what we're going to do is we are going to add a sequence here. Okay. No. A selector. Ooh, a selector. Let's do a selector. Do a selector. Okay. And for now, we're going to come into this sequence with the decorator. Do we have team ID as a Blackboard value? Man, I hope so. Blackboard key. Oh, are you kidding me? We're not setting our team ID in the Blackboard? What are we doing? Okay, there's two places we need to do this. First off, it's interesting. Is there another way to do this without creating a new? Oh, we could create a new one that is checks the team ID. So we have a choice here. We can either always update the team ID in the Blackboard, which might be cool, or we can write a decorator that checks the team ID by getting the info from the pawn and stuff like that. I think for now, for speed reasons, we'll just add team ID here. I don't like this because the reason I don't like this is we're basically tracking team IDs in multiple places. We got team IDs in the Blackboard, we have team IDs in our blueprints, we have team IDs on the enemy AI, and this is why we're going to get that team subsystem up and running, which will help us a lot with these kinds of things. And so when our character spawns, so let's see here, spawner, let's see here, total enemies, team ID, total enemies. This is where we set the team ID. Okay, so let's get the Blackboard value. Get the Blackboard and set value as int. And we're going to set, make a literal, and we're going to say team ID, and we're going to set it to the team ID. So that's one place we can do it. All right, and then I am pretty sure our other spot is going to be our strategize task. So let's go over here. Holy cow. Let's take a look for team ID. Team ID here. Set the team ID. So when we set this team ID, oh, interesting. This is where we're setting it here. Okay, so we need another one here. So let's do this. Let's duplicate this guy. And so that as we're setting, make some room here. Okay, and then what we can do is make a literal. This is going to be team ID. And the value is going to be from this guy here. Okay, let's see where else we're doing this. All right, so we're clearly setting it there. And this is what I'm talking about. Having set this in all these locations doesn't feel great. Doesn't feel great at all. So we'll have to get the subsystem up and running soon. And that's not setting it. That's actually setting it. This is setting it. That's getting it. Also getting it. Getting it. Okay, so there should just be one more spot then. So there's that one. Then we set it. Okay, so here we set it. We also need to, from this blackboard, man, we are so out of room here. Let's see here. Trying to clean this up. I want to get the electric node plugin and give that a shot. One of our viewers, Shadow, whoever that may be, tipped me off to that, and I'm curious to see if it's just an editor plugin. I feel like it's pretty safe. Problem is, I also don't want to fall in love with it and then not have it at work either. That's very real. Okay, so now we have some room. Let's clean this up a little bit. So okay, a little bit easier to follow. Now, right here is where we want to do the set. So let's get our blackboard and set values int. Set values int. Undo. This is why I like the control drag, because sometimes you forget where it was connected to. Let's make this. This is going to be our team ID. How are we doing time-wise? Oh, we're doing great. Team ID, and the value we're going to set it here is here. Okay, so now our team ID should be set across the board. Let's just save that. And then let's just save a bunch of these things, because you never know when you're gonna crash. Okay, so in here, now we're gonna add the decorator back in. We're gonna check a blackboard value. What? Add a decorator, blackboard. Blackboard key. Wait, what? Add decorator. Blackboard. It's interesting. Why this is dark blue. This one's not. Oh, because I don't want it on the selector. That's why. I'm doing this here. I want if our team ID is 0. This is fine. Team ID is equal to 0. We're going to do this one. And if our team ID is 1, so let's do this. If the team ID is 1, we're going to do this. And what we'll do is we'll put a super long wait on this dude. So let's see here. Let's set our wait to like 20. And just double check that this works. 0 is blue. Okay. So blue has found a target. This red dude. He's moving to the spot. Alright, he's now in the spot. But I do not see him attacking. Now it could just be a case of he wasn't in range. And also I want him to stay here because he's already in spot. He shouldn't have to move. Okay, so now red moved. Now blue. Oh, red moved, but our last enemy location didn't update. Now it's updated. Okay, so there's a little bit of delay there that we'll want to fix to make this feel a little more natural. Alright, so a couple things that we want to check is why this dude's not punching. I'm expecting him to punch. So I believe he is doing, let's look at the other dude. Is he doing his skill? He is doing his skill. Does he have any skills? Let's see here. That is going to be on the enemy AI. No, it's going to be on the enemy. I think. Where's our default game? Yeah, he's got melee attack. What's the range for melee attack? Range is 250. Let's just make it really large just for kicks and double check that. Interesting. Blue is supposedly doing his skill, but I don't see it happening. So if we come in here to do skill. Alright, popped in here. This is enemy 1. Yeah, I don't want enemy 1. I want enemy 0. This is enemy 1. Enemy AI 1. C0. Enemy AI 0. Let's try that. It's interesting that I'm not actually hitting this. We're looking at this for enemy AI 0. Oh, then it is one that we want. Okay, it is one that we want. I had it backwards. Wait, that's weird. Oh, because enemy 1 may not be team 1. All right, that's why. So let's go back to the do skill. And we can set this back to none. And we can put our breakpoint in here. So this is enemy 1, okay? And we're going to step through. We get our control pawn. We do all these things. We get our forward vectors. We don't worry about friendly fire. We set our rotation modes. We get our controlled pawn. We check the target actor. The cast failed. I mean, the cast succeeded. Then we're sphere tracing for objects. We're checking to see if it's an enemy. And friendly fire should be false. So it should do the skill. And when we do the skill, which skill are we doing? Our current skill slot is... Oh, we never chose a skill. Oh, dude, we never chose a skill. We never chose a skill, that's why. The reason we didn't choose a skill is because... Why are we not choosing a skill? Hold up, wait a minute. Hold up, wait a minute. I want, wait, what? Come back here. Strategize. Let's look for skill in here. Why is he not choosing a skill? You should choose a skill if we do loadout. Find references to loadout. We do loadout if oh, I know why. I think I know why. What do you want to bet we're never loading out? Oh no, we are loading out. Well, we're choosing skills here. Hold on. Okay. So, let's see here. No data debug. That does absolutely nothing for me. All right, so that should be true. Okay. This is false. False, false. Oh, okay. It's because our ability range is greater than 300. Hold on a second. Distance to target. Hold on, let's set our ability range back to 250. Something's going on here. Nope. I accidentally did that. I did not mean to do that. Let's set this back to 250. Let's go back to our choose skill. Okay, so if the ability range is greater than the distance to target, okay, and the distance to target is greater than 0. That's kind of a weird one. And the ability range is greater than 300. And the distance to target is less than 300. Hold on a second. The ability range is greater than 300. I don't understand that last part. If our ability range is greater than 300, and our distance to target is I think this needs to be like 50. Because our ability range for the melee, I don't really like this, but we're gonna try it. I think what's happening is our ability range for melee was too short. Where are you going, buddy? So we're still not punching. What is actually, this is interesting. Let's. Oh wait, this doesn't work if you're simulating. Are you kidding me? Okay, so let's change this. Let's go back to our enemies and let's give them a fireball, because I feel like we're bumping up against a weird range thing. So let's go. It is a skill, slot number 1, and let's do fireball. Now the question is, did he choose fireball? So to make sure, what we can do is we can just get rid of melee. So now we're forcing fireball. This dude should shoot a fireball. It does not look like he's shooting a fireball. We're definitely doing our skill. We're doing our sphere trace. Coming in to do skill. Which enemy is that? That's enemy 1. Okay. So enemy 1 is coming in here. All right, so we're going to come in here and we have our slotted abilities. Current slot is 0. So this should totally be activating. Like, it's definitely thinks it's shooting a fireball, but we're not seeing a fireball. That is something weird for sure. Oh, we're gonna have to troubleshoot that. So many problems. What's our cooldown on our fireball? Fireball. GA fireball. Cooldown is our GE fireball cooldown, which is set to duration 5 seconds. Let's go 1. Is this just one of those things where we're just not seeing it? Because it's happening so fast? Oh, so annoying. Alright, let's move this dude back over here. And let's go again. We've seen them shoot fireballs before. Is he actually doing his skill? All right, he's definitely doing the skills. Setting the rotation mode, doing the sphere trace, and then he's doing the skill. We come into the skill. Our current skill slot is 0. We're activating abilities with an item slot. The current skill slot is 0. Oh, I know what the problem is. I think I know what the problem is. Enemy, 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 enemy. Oh, where'd you go? Here you go. This is it. This has got to be it. Abilities. Key. Look, our slot. I remember saying this once many streams ago. Our slot needs to match. We have to manually do that right now. Let's get rid of this breakpoint because this is just gonna work. It's gonna be great. There we go. We got a farm. Thank goodness. Okay, cool. So now let's move this dude back over here. So they're spawning next to each other or within the same nav mesh. And now he should find positions and fireballs every second. It's interesting he's hitting himself with that fireball. Alright, so he's gonna go to this position. Oh. Alright, we need to figure out why he's... There we go. He's still shooting. This is cool. He's going to a spot. He's taking the spot, shoots the fireball. Kills the enemy. Alright, so that's working. I think the things that I want to do is I want to figure out why it is that melee is not working. I mean, it should be the same thing unless we've got melee attack. And our slots should match 0 and 0. Maybe we didn't realize that we had a slot problem with melee attack as well. There's blue. Going to move into position. Oh, there he goes. He melee attack, dude. That's all it was. I can't believe it. Okay. Now, that doesn't work because he's too far away to actually punch him. And that is happening because of our... Oh, actually, he managed to hit him. That's actually happening because of, you know, us checking our radius. When we're melee attack, we want our radius to be in that first sphere. We're too far away right now. We can't actually hit him. So we may have to get fancy about that. But I think overall that's a good place to wrap up for today. We got some stuff done. I don't necessarily feel like we made all kinds of huge progress by any means. So I'm just going to be continuing on this train, right? I'm trying to get the enemies to behave properly. If they can navigate to their opponents, if they can't navigate to their opponents, choosing the right weapons, all those kinds of things. And it's all just working within this tight gym where I've got nav meshes where they can and cannot reach each other, where they have to choose their weapons based on the ranges. We're going to get this all dialed in for just 2 characters. And then we'll start expanding the field of view again a little bit more. Also, as I'm learning more and more about how ability trees work, I think ultimately the way our tree is set up is not the best. There's a whole lot of just forcing successes and everything like that. I think we need to be using a query machine a little bit more. There's also we may even want to consider setting up more of like a state machine type deal, where if they're in a certain state, they're in attack mode and so on. And then we can use the aborts to handle those kinds of things. But we'll see. For now, let's just get this working with 2 characters, then throw in the idea of a hero. We'll do targeting priority, all kinds of stuff. So for everybody who was here, thanks for hopping in. And as always, if you have questions or anything like that, you can throw those in the comments down below, and we'll try to get to those on the next stream. Sweet. Take it easy.